Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you the mid-year book freakout tag. So the mid-year book freakout tag was created by Chammy over at Read Like Wildfire and Ellie over at Earl Grey Books. I will leave a link to both of their channels down below for you guys to check out, and I was actually tagged in this video by Mel over at That Girl Bookworm, so I will leave a link to her channel down below as well. Thanks so much, Mel. I have actually been tagged in a couple of other tag videos that I am planning to film, but I wanted to film this one quicker just because this is a bit more of a time sensitive tag. So this is a tag, if you didn't know, that is just surrounded all about your reading for like the first half of the year. Now that we've passed June 30, I am ready and raring to go to answer questions about all of my reading in the first half of 2017. Question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2017. If you've been watching my wrap-up videos, then you know that quality-wise, my reading year has not been the greatest necessarily. I haven't read any new to me 5-star reads. I have been rereading Harry Potter this year, and of course those are 5-star books, but I don't count rereads towards I didn't want to use rereads in this challenge. So the best book I've read this year has been My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. I absolutely adored this book. If you recall, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier was on my favorites list for books that I read in 2016. And I've read a couple of other books by her, but My Cousin Rachel is definitely my second favorite behind Rebecca. This one follows the main character of Philip, and Philip has been raised by his older male cousin Ambrose, and he's like Ambrose's heir, and they've always just been kind of the two of them, and they're very close. And one day basically Ambrose has been not well, and he needs to like get away into warmer climates, and so he goes away for the winter, and he ends up meeting this woman Rachel, and they end up getting married. And he sends Philip, the main character, some like strange letters just after kind of they get married. And before Philip can get over to see him, Ambrose ends up passing away, and the estate ends up passing to Philip. And then it's just all about kind of him meeting his cousin Rachel and everything that kind of goes on there. It is your typical Daphne du Maurier read, very gothic and atmospheric. I said when I mentioned it in my wrap-up that if you like books with really concise, complete, like wrapped up in a bow endings, this book is not going to be for you, because it definitely is not that type of story. But I personally really enjoyed it, and it is my favorite book that I've read in 2017 so far. Question number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far in 2017. And I gave this one to Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Infernal Devices series. It was my favorite book in the Infernal Devices series. I did read that whole trilogy earlier this year. And as a whole, I enjoy the Infernal Devices more than I enjoyed the Mortal Instruments. And to date, I would say that Clockwork Prince is my favorite book by Cassandra Clare that I have read. I just really loved the sequel. I'm really invested in like the characters in that, and the love triangle in it really like it's such a well done love triangle, and it like physically hurts me to kind of read about. It was just really good, and I was really invested, and I really enjoyed that book, and I did give it 4.5 stars. It was definitely my favorite sequel that I've read so far this year. Question number 3 is new release that you haven't read yet but want to. So 2 books that were released in the first half of 2017 that I want to read but I haven't are Once and For All by Sarah Dessen and Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. I do own both of those books, and I will hopefully be reading both of them this year maybe, but I just haven't got to them yet. I do own both of these books. They are on my physical TBR, so hopefully I can get to them before the end of the year, because Sarah Dessen and Jodi Picoult, you know, if you've been watching my channel, are 2 of my favorite authors, and this is their most recent releases, and so I just really do want to get to them so I can see what their latest offering has for me. Question number 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So I don't follow like new releases like too much. The only releases that I'm usually really aware of are by authors that I already love, like such as Sarah Descent and Jodi Picoult. But one book that I have been anticipating for a really, really long time that I've been really excited about comes out in September of 2017, and that is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. When I very, very first heard about this book, and that was before it had a title, I had marked it as to read. This is a YA slasher that is supposed to be in the vein of the Scream movies. I'm a big fan of the Scream movies, if you didn't know, and so I've just been excited for this for a long time. I haven't read the Anna and the French Kiss like trilogy that Stephanie Perkins read, but I have read the 2 short stories that she wrote in the 2 anthologies that Stephanie Perkins edited, which was My True Love Gave to Me and Summer Days and Summer Nights. And in both of those editions, her short story that she put into the editions was my favorite, I believe, in both of them. So I have liked what I've read of her, and I'm really, really excited to read a YA slasher from her because it just sounds like something that I would totally love. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment of 2017 so far. My biggest disappointment of this year was Thorn Abbey by Nancy Olin. So this is a book that I picked up randomly. It's not a disappointment because I'd heard a lot of hype about it or anything like that. It's a disappointment because I saw it at the library and I saw the cover, I think, and I picked it up and I was like, oh, what's this? And it turned out to be a young adult retelling of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which I've already mentioned in this video, and I was so excited, so excited. And I was just so hopeful that it would be everything that I hoped it would be, and it was shit. It was really, really not a good, I don't think it was a good book just at all, let alone as a retelling of Rebecca. Like, it just did not, like, it was trying to get there and it just really, really didn't get there. It fell so flat for me. It was cheesy and like real, like, not even like B grade, like C grade level, like horror cliches. And it was just, it was really terrible, and I was so sad about it. So I did recently buy, if you saw my most recent book haul, I bought another book that's related to Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and that's like an unofficial sequel, so I'm hoping that that one isn't going to be as big a letdown as Thorn Abbey was, because I really, really didn't enjoy that book. Question number 6 is your biggest surprise. I have given this one to The Gift of Looking Closely by Al Brooks, which is a book that I read quite recently. I mentioned it in my June wrap-up, and it was a surprise to me because this is a book that I was reading for one of my 2017 goals, which is to read books that I had written down on like a to-read list years and years and years ago and that I'd never gotten to. And so it's been years, as I said, and so I had no recollection of what this book was about or why I'd written it on the list or what had drawn me to it. And when I looked into it and I saw that on Goodreads it had like 32 ratings, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know what this is going to be like, and they didn't have it at my library. I had to buy a copy of Amazon to read on my Kindle, and so I was really nervous going into it, but I ended up really, really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. It's a literary fiction type story about a woman who in her youth, she believes that her mother manipulated her into helping her commit suicide, and basically she's had a kind of a tough life since then, and she's really like struggled with herself, and she has been shoplifting, and she gets caught shoplifting, and she has to do like community service through her sentencing, and she ends up visiting this older woman in her home who's like confined to her home, and the story kind of unravels from there, and it has some real like almost like psychological thriller vibes to it, and the writing ended up being really, really good, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And as I said, my expectations were real low going in, so that definitely helped, but I did really, really enjoy it, and it was definitely a surprise. Question 7 is your favorite new author, either new to you or debut. So on this one, I'm actually cheating a little bit. As I've said, my reading year this year has been a little bit disappointing, and I looked through all of the authors that I've read this year, and there hasn't been any like new author that I haven't read before that I've been completely taken by and thought, I really want to read everything that you write from here on out, or look through all your back catalogue, or just anything like that. So I've decided to go with Cassandra Clare. Now, I had read the first 3 books in the Mortal Instruments series years and years and years ago, but didn't remember that much about them, and I'd never read the last 3 books, and so I picked up the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices this year, and I have read the Bane Chronicles, and I've read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy now, and I really, really have been enjoying her world. I know that there are problems with her writing and that she can be a bit controversial, and I fully see all of that and recognize all of that, but I have been enjoying her books, and she's the only author that I've read this year that I hadn't been really into prior to this year that I have really gotten into in 2017, so I am going with Cassandra Clare for this one. Question number 8 is your newest fictional crush. Now, I don't really like crush on book characters the way that like a lot of people do. So I am rolling this question in with my answer to question number 9, which is your favorite character in 2017. And so for the 2 questions combined, I am going with Simon Lewis from the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I absolutely adore Simon, and like I have a little bit of like a crush on him, kind of. Like I feel like if I had met him when I was like 16, 17, and like I think I could see us dating. Like I could be into Simon, and like maybe like adult Simon, because I'm 29, so I can't date a 16-year-old because that's just a bit dirty and gross. But yeah, I just do have a little bit of a crush on Simon, I'm not gonna lie. And he's so like geeky and cute and fun, and he's definitely one of my favorite characters that I have read this year. The other character that I consider for my favorite character is another character by Cassandra Clare, and that is Magnus Bane, because I really do love Magnus Bane as well. But I decided to give it to Simon Lewis because I think he's just like edges out Magnus as my like overall favorite character from anything that has been written by Cassandra Clare. Question number 10 is the book that made you cry in 2017. I haven't had too many like really emotional books that I've read so far this year that have like really made me cry, but one that I definitely did cry in is Making Faces by Amy Harmon. This is a new adult book, but it has like some Christian themes, so it's not like super steamy like type of new adult, but it definitely is like within the new adult like kind of spectrum. And it follows a girl and a guy who knew each other in high school, and the girl was kind of like the ugly duckling type girl, and he was like the big like jock and star, and he ends up going away with several of his friends and he joins the army. And then while he is overseas serving, all his friends are killed, and he is severely injured and has some like disfigurement following the injury. He ends up coming back to his hometown, and there's kind of and develops a form of like friendship and relationship with the main female character. And there is like there's a lot going on in this book, and it really did touch a piece of my heart. It's another one of the best books that I have read this year, and I absolutely adored it, and I definitely cried in it. And I like that. I'm not into like Christian fiction generally, but I thought that the way it was done in this book, like it wasn't preachy at all. And if you are looking for new adult reads that aren't as like in your face like sexually, then I would definitely recommend picking this up, because like this was just like a really nuanced, well written book that I personally really did enjoy, and I would definitely recommend picking it up. Question number 11, book that made you happy. All of them. Reading in general just makes me happy, but for this I have picked The Romeo Catchers by Alice Arden. This one I picked because it was a book that I was really looking forward to picking up, and it's so me to read. Like this is a book that's set in New Orleans in the US following this big storm. I think some people say that it's Katrina, and I think it's based off Katrina, but it's not actually Katrina. Like it's more catastrophic, if you can believe that. And it's got witches and voodoo and vampires, and it's just like there's such a like vibe to the story that I just love. And it's just, I don't know, there's something about those books that just really speak to me, and I really enjoy, and it definitely made me happy to read. Question number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought this year or received. For this is probably a bit of a cliche answer, because I know this is widely known to be like a really beautiful book, but I only purchased this book this year, and if I had thought ahead, I would have brought it into the room with me, but I didn't, so I will put a picture here, and that is Ignite Me by Tahara Moffi. I bought the final book in the trilogy so that I can read it hopefully this year, and it's widely known to be beautiful for a reason. This cover is stunning, and I did look through like all of the covers of all of the books that I've purchased this year, and I just really couldn't go past this one because it is absolutely gorgeous. Question number 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And there are so many. I have a lot of books that I want to get read by the end of the year. So I've just basically picked something out that I'm really hoping that I'm going to get read in the next couple of months, and that is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I need to pick up that. Sounds really bad. It's one of the books that I'm hoping to use for one of the challenges that I'm doing. So the Raven Boys is. So I will definitely be getting to the first book, and I would like to get through the whole like saga because I really want to read those books because they are super hyped, and I'm hoping that I'm going to really love it, but I am nervous about it. And the final question is your favorite book community member, be that BookTube, Bookstagram, Book Twitter, I suppose, book blogger, like whatever. I am not going to answer this question because I just have way too many people to mention. I've got a lot of favorite booktubers who are like booktubers who would have no idea like who the heck I am, and then I've got people that I have really connected with personally that I'm really loving, like getting to chat with and talk about books, and I feel like I've really connected with people a lot more this year, which I'm really happy about. And I don't want to mention a bunch of people and forget someone because that would make me feel awful, and there's just too many to talk about, but just know that there are a lot of people in the book community that I do love. So that was the mid-year book freakout tag. I'm not going to tag anyone only because we're getting a little bit on in the year, and I know that most people, if they were planning to film this video, have already filmed it, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know in the comments down below what the best book that you've read so far this year. I would love to know that. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys!